St. Lucia's National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, the NTRC, has dismissed suggestions that the process of review it has embarked on in the acquisition of Columbus by Cable and Wireless PLC is meaningless, given that the major key markets in the region have already signed off on the deal. Chairman Jerome Jules says the commissions in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados are all autonomous, much like St. Lucia, and make decisions in the interest of consumers. Mr. Jules concedes, however, that the National Commission will be guided by the route already taken.
For a company to operate within St. Lucia, it must have a valid license. So the option of simply ceasing operations of the existing companies and just starting up under a new name would require that they still have to go through the application and approval process for a new license. So it does not mean that one can simply sidestep any potential regulatory issues by ducking out of under one name and simply popping up under another name.
Mr. Jules added that there is room for the NTRC to approve the merger with stipulated conditions, as Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados have done. In addition, the legislation provides for corrective measures.
Their legislation, which guides their own decision-making in terms of approval, is probably a lot more advanced than ours with regards to acquisitions, mergers, and control of anti-competitive behavior. Okay? However, the decision we make is still going to be based on how we review it. The question is, and I can tell you, that there may be two positions, and I'm not speaking for the minister, but I can, hypothetically speaking, there could be two positions that that you can make, because that we can take. Because as you said, if you don't get the information and you have to make a decision, you may make the decision with the information that you have at the time. So the commission may recommend, and I can tell you, may recommend to the minister that you approve the merger with certain conditions, as has been done in Barbados. And these conditions are really to safeguard. If you don't have the information, I can tell you a second option is that you can approve without conditions. And when you are sure of what is happening in the market, that you take what is called ex post remedies, which is you take action after the fact to remedy any anti-competitive behavior that the provider is taking after the merger. I don't think we're in a position to decide at this point, because we still have a few days to go to the end of April, which is where we're looking at. But I can tell you that if you were very conservative and you were very risk averse, you may take the position that let me wait and see. And to take corrective action, because if you don't have enough information, you may make a decision that is ill-informed.
The NTRC has also shut down the suggestion that the companies may choose to dissolve the existing entities and form a new company to escape obligations or wrangling over approval. Commissioner Jerry George.
Under the retail tariff regulation, we are responsible for approving prices of services, telecommunication services, which are not regulated, which are regulated. So things like internet and landlines are regulated services. And therefore, if there is some movement upwards of prices after the merger, we have the power, the regulator has the power to say to the provider, you have not justified the upward movements of prices, and we will not support an upward movement in prices. We have that. We also have the option of amending the licenses of a provider if he does not conform to some of the conditions that are in his license. And it may be possible that the provider may apply, I'm not saying it has not happened, may apply for a new license given that you have a merger. Okay? The conditions that applied when you were when you had two companies operating may not necessarily apply, and therefore the minister may in his best judgment decide to amend the conditions of the license if he so desires. We also have to remember that the licenses of those providers are coming up for renewal, and therefore an opportunity presents itself as early as next year for amending the conditions in the license to provide additional protection for the consumers. So I want to assure you that, and the public of St. Lucia, that all is not lost, that there are remedies that can be applied if this merger takes place to protect the consumer.
A meeting has been scheduled for the 27th of April 2015, at which time the companies will make full disclosure on the plans for the operation as an integrated entity. The NTRC says it is willing to consider views on the acquisition from interested parties. All submissions must be made by the 30th of April. Stay with CTV News. When we come back, the world arc making a splash here.